Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into the fireworks, the founding fathers, and the facts behind one of America's most celebrated holidays, the 4th of July. Now, most of us grow up with a few key ideas about this day. Independence was declared on July 4th. There was a huge celebration right away, and that freedom rang out across the colonies instantly. But, what if I told you that much of what we think we know about the 4th of July is actually a myth? Yep. Stick around because we're going to debunk some of the biggest misconceptions about America's Independence Day. Let's start with the biggest one. Not quite. The actual vote for independence happened on July 2nd, 1776. That's when the Continental Congress voted in favor of breaking away from Britain. So why do we celebrate on the 4th? Well, July 4th is when Congress approved the final wording of the Declaration of Independence. It was basically an editing session. The document wasn't even signed that day. That came later. John Adams even wrote to his wife Abigail predicting that July 2nd would be the day Americans would celebrate for generations. Oops, missed it by 2 days, John. Another popular image. All the founding fathers gathered in a big dramatic moment, signing the Declaration together on July 4th. But in reality, most of them signed weeks or even months later. Only a few signed it on July 4th. And some didn't sign at all. The bulk of signatures happened on August 2nd, 1776, and even then, not every delegate was present. So no, there was no epic group photo moment, the famous painting you've seen, artistic license. Not really. For the first few years the holiday wasn't a big deal. The Revolutionary War was still raging. People had more immediate concerns, like survival. Even George Washington didn't do anything notable on July 4th, 1776. In fact, he didn't receive the news until days later. It wasn't until after the war, and especially during the War of 1812, that the 4th began to be celebrated more formally as a symbol of national unity. The 4th of July didn't even become a federal holiday until 1870, nearly 100 years later. Sounds poetic, right? But there's no historical record of the Liberty Bell ringing that day. The story actually came from a fictional account, written nearly 100 years later, in the 1840s, by a writer named George Lippard. He made up the idea of an old bell ringer waiting for news and then triumphantly ringing the bell. Inspiring? Sure. But yeah, it's completely made up. Actually, the colonies were deeply divided. Historians estimate that about a third supported the revolution, another third remained loyal to Britain, called Loyalists, and the remaining third were undecided or neutral. Even within families, loyalties were split. Some fathers fought for independence while sons stayed loyal to the crown. It was not a united front, it was more like political chaos. So the idea that all 13 colonies joyfully broke free together, that's a simplified version of a very complicated truth. They are now sure, but the first official fireworks celebration didn't happen until 1777, in Philadelphia, a full year after independence was declared. And even then, it wasn't quite the spectacle we see today. It was mostly small scale, with cannon fire and bonfires. Fireworks became widespread in the 1800s, and the explosive displays we know today didn't really emerge until the 20th century. So if you picture George Washington lighting bottle rockets in 1776, probably not. Believe it or not, many of them were controversial figures in their time. Thomas Jefferson and John Adams had bitter rivalries. Alexander Hamilton was killed in a duel by Aaron Burr, and after the war, public opinion of these men varied widely depending on politics, class, and region. Celebrating them as near-mythic heroes didn't start until long after their deaths, especially during times when the country was looking for unifying figures. History has a way of polishing the past. So there you have it. 7 myths about the 4th of July that might change how you view the holiday. It doesn't make it any less special. In fact, understanding the real history behind it makes it even more meaningful. It wasn't instant. It wasn't perfect. But it was a bold beginning. Let me know in the comments. Did any of these surprise you? Are there other historical myths you'd like me to cover in a future video? And if you enjoyed this, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the bell for more deep dives into the facts behind famous events. Thanks for watching and have a happy and informed 4th of July.